Captain Jake Morrison stood at the massive viewing window of the Galactic Assembly Station and watched 12 different alien ships floating in the dark space around them. Each ship looked different from the others. Some were long and thin, like needles. Others were round like giant balls. A few had strange shapes that hurt his eyes to look at for too long. Jake had been to many places in his life, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Dr. Lisa Hayes walked up beside him, carrying a thick datapad filled with information about each alien race they would meet today. She was nervous, and Jake could tell by the way she kept checking her notes over and over again. Lisa had studied alien biology for 15 years, but this was her first time meeting any of them face to face. She looked at Jake and gave him a small smile that did not hide her worry. "Are you ready for this, Captain Morrison?" she asked in a quiet voice. Jake nodded and straightened his dark blue uniform. He had worn this same uniform in 3 different wars on Earth, but today felt more important than any battle he had ever fought. Today would decide what happened to every human being alive. Commander Ryan Blake came walking down the long metal hallway toward them. His boots made sharp sounds on the floor with each step. Ryan was younger than Jake, but he had good instincts, and Jake trusted him completely. Ryan carried a communication device that would let them talk to Admiral Alex Stone, who was somewhere far away in space with the rest of Earth's small fleet. "The aliens are ready to begin the meeting, sir," Ryan said. "They sent a message saying they want to get this over with quickly. They think it will not take very long to decide what to do with Earth." Jake felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his face calm. He had expected this attitude from the aliens. Every report they had received over the past months told them the same thing. The aliens thought humans were weak and stupid. They thought Earth was just another primitive planet that needed to be controlled and managed like a farm. The 3 humans walked through the curved hallways of the station toward the main meeting room. The walls were made of some kind of smooth white material that seemed to glow with its own light. Strange symbols and pictures moved across the walls like living things. Jake tried not to stare at them too much because they made him feel dizzy. They reached a huge circular room with a dome ceiling that showed the stars outside. 12 different aliens sat around a curved table that could probably seat 50 beings. Each alien looked completely different from the others and from anything Jake had ever seen or imagined. The Zephyrian delegate stood up first. It looked like a tall crystal statue that had come to life. Light moved through its body in slow waves, and when it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "So these are the humans from the little blue planet," it said with what Jake thought might be amusement. "They look exactly as primitive as our scouts reported." A huge lizard-like creature with dark green scales and yellow eyes laughed with a sound like rocks falling down a mountain. This was the representative from the Vorthan Empire. "Look how small they are," it said in a deep voice that made the floor vibrate. "My people could use them to dig tunnels in our mines. They seem built for crawling through small spaces." More laughter filled the room from the other aliens. A being that looked like a floating jellyfish with dozens of tentacles waved its arms, in what might have been the alien version of clapping. Something that resembled a giant spider made clicking sounds that the translation device said meant it was very amused. Jake walked to the 3 empty chairs that had been placed at the table for the human delegation. He sat down slowly and put his hands flat on the smooth surface in front of him. Lisa and Ryan sat on either side of him. Jake could feel all the alien eyes watching them and studying them like they were interesting insects. "We thank the Galactic Assembly for this opportunity to meet," Jake said in his most diplomatic voice. "Earth hopes to join the galactic community as an equal partner and contributor to peace and prosperity for all civilizations." The crystal being that had spoken first made a sound like breaking glass that the translator said was laughter. "Equal. Partner," it repeated. "The humans think they are equal to us. How amusing. Your planet has barely learned to leave its own atmosphere. You still fight wars with chemical explosives and metal projectiles. You have no understanding of advanced physics or energy manipulation." The lizard creature leaned forward, and its yellow eyes focused on Jake like a predator looking at prey. "Your species is known throughout the galaxy for one thing only," it said: "violence and aggression. You have had thousands of wars on your own planet. You have killed billions of your own kind. This makes you useful for only the most dangerous, and unpleasant jobs. A new alien spoke up from across the table. This one looked like a tree with arms and legs and a face carved into its bark. The humans could be good workers in radiation zones where other species cannot survive, it said in a voice like creaking wood. Their short lifespans mean we would not have to take care of them for very long. Jake felt his hands clench into fists under the table, but he kept his voice steady. Earth has much to offer the galactic community, he said. Our scientists have made many discoveries. Our artists create beautiful works. Our people are resourceful and determined. We believe we can contribute in many positive ways. This brought the loudest laughter yet from the assembled aliens. Several of them made sounds that the translator could not even convert into words. The crystal being stood up again, and its light pulsed brighter. Humans believe they have something we want, it said. This is the funniest thing we have heard in centuries. Your entire civilization is less advanced than what we threw away as obsolete technology 10,000 years ago. The floating jellyfish creature spoke in a voice like bubbles popping. Perhaps we should be grateful that they are at least smart, enough to come here and surrender peacefully, it said. That shows they are not completely without intelligence. Jake looked around the table at all the alien faces staring at him with expressions that ranged from amusement to contempt to boredom. He had known this meeting would be difficult, but the reality was worse than he had imagined. These beings did not just see humans as inferior, they saw them as barely worth noticing at all. The lizard creature pulled out a data pad and began reading from it. According to our military analysis, your planet has approximately 200 small spacecraft that you call warships, it said. Your weapons are based on nuclear fission, which we stopped using before your species learned to make fire. Your defensive capabilities are essentially zero against any modern military force. Jake nodded slowly. Everything the alien had said was true according to what Earth had allowed them to see. Those numbers are correct, he said. Earth's military technology is still developing. Developing, laughed the tree-like being. You mean it is non-existent? We have bacteria that could conquer your planet without assistance. The meeting continued for 2 more hours with the aliens discussing among themselves what to do with Earth and humanity. They talked about humans like they were not even in the room. Some suggested using Earth as a dumping ground for toxic waste. Others wanted to strip mine the planet for its natural resources. A few thought humans might be useful as test subjects for medical experiments. Finally, the crystal being stood up and announced that they had reached a decision. The Galactic Assembly hereby places the planet Earth and all human beings under our protection and guidance, it said. Humans will be relocated to designated areas where they can be properly supervised and assigned useful work. This meeting is now concluded. Jake stood up slowly and looked around the table one more time. And if Earth refuses to accept this arrangement? He asked quietly. The lizard creature showed its teeth in what might have been a smile. Then Earth will learn what happens to species that do not accept the wisdom of the Galactic Assembly, it said. But that would be very unwise indeed. 3 hours after the meeting ended, Jake Morrison sat alone in his small quarters aboard the alien station and activated his secure communication device. The screen flickered to life and showed the face of Admiral Alex Stone, who was somewhere far away in the darkness between stars. Alex looked tired, but his eyes were sharp and focused as always. How bad was it, Jake? Alex asked without any greeting. The two men had known each other for 20 years and did not need to waste time with small talk. Alex had been Jake's commanding officer during the resource wars on Earth and later his closest friend when they both joined the newly formed Space Defense Command. Worse than we expected, Jake replied. They are not just dismissive, Alex. They are contemptuous. They see us as useful only for dangerous labor and medical experiments. The Zephyrian delegate suggested turning Earth into a waste disposal site. The Vorthan representative wants to use humans as tunnel diggers in radiation zones. Alex nodded grimly. That matches what our intelligence sources told us to expect. These aliens have been the dominant powers in this galaxy for thousands of years. They are used to every new species bowing down and accepting whatever role gets assigned to them. They cannot imagine that anyone might refuse their generous offer. Jake leaned back in his chair and rubbed his eyes. Alex, I need to ask you again. Are you absolutely certain about our capabilities? If we are wrong about this, then we are condemning every human being to slavery or death. 3 billion people are counting on us to make the right choice. Jake. I have been working on this project for 15 years, Alex said. I have seen every test result and every simulation. Our ships are not just better than theirs. They are so much better that it is like comparing a modern fighter jet to a paper airplane. The aliens stopped advancing their military technology centuries ago because no one has challenged them. They got lazy and complacent. The screen split and showed a second face. Captain Ben Carter commanded the USS Independence, which was the largest and most powerful warship that Earth had ever built. Ben was 10 years younger than Jake, but he had trained on every system of his ship until he knew it better than most. People knew their own homes. Captain Morrison, Ben said with a slight smile. I heard the aliens were not very impressed with humanity today. That is exactly what we wanted them to think. My ship has been monitoring their communications since the meeting ended. They are laughing at us and making jokes about how pathetic Earth's defenses are. How long until you can reach the assembly station if needed? Jake asked. We are currently 18 hours away at maximum stealth speed, Ben replied. But Jake, I have to tell you something. The crew is getting restless. These men and women have been training for this moment for years. They know what those aliens said about us today, and they want to show them exactly how wrong they are. Alex spoke up from his part of the screen. Tell your crew to be patient, Ben. Everything depends on timing. We get one chance to surprise them. If we move too early or too late, then we lose the advantage that we have spent decades building. Jake remembered the first time he had seen the USS Independence in its secret construction facility hidden inside an asteroid. The ship was almost 2 kilometers long and bristled with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Its hull was made from materials that were stronger than anything the aliens had ever developed. Its engines could push it faster than any known spacecraft. Most importantly, it was completely invisible to alien sensors when its stealth systems were active. But the Independence was not alone. Earth had built 7 major warships in total using technology that had been developed in secret research facilities around the solar system. The aliens thought human science was primitive, because that was what Earth wanted them to think. While publicly struggling with basic rocket technology, humans had privately mastered physics that the aliens thought impossible. Alex, tell me about the others, Jake said. Are they ready? Lieutenant Colonel Amy Foster has been running combat simulations with her fighter squadrons every day for the past month, Alex replied. Her pilots can fly circles around anything the aliens have. Dr. Kevin Walsh says the new plasma cannons are performing beyond all expectations. Captain Lisa Brooks reports that all stealth systems are functioning perfectly. Jake had met Amy Foster once during an inspection visit to the hidden fleet. She was a small woman with bright red hair and eyes like green fire. She had been the best pilot in Earth's military even before the advanced fighters were built. Now she commanded 48 pilots who flew spacecraft that could outrun and outfight anything in the known galaxy. Dr. Kevin Walsh was the genius who had solved the power problems that had prevented humans from building effective energy weapons. His plasma cannons could punch through the heaviest alien armor at ranges that their weapons could not even reach. More importantly, they could disable enemy ships without necessarily destroying them, which would be crucial for the plan to work. What about our intelligence on their fleet compositions? Jake asked. Commander Ryan Blake has been doing excellent work, Alex said. His analysis of their communications shows they have 12 major species, but only 3 of them have significant military forces. The Zephyrians have about 30 ships, but they are mostly for show. The Vorthans have 50 ships that are actually combat-capable. The Crystalline Hegemony has the largest fleet with almost 80 ships, but their designs are over 200 years old. Jake felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. So we are looking at about 160 ships total if they all work together? That's correct, Ben said from his part of the screen. And Jake, most of those ships were built for fighting each other, not for fighting someone with our technology. Their weapons are designed to penetrate their armor. Their sensors are calibrated to detect their engines. Their tactics assume everyone fights the same way they do. The plan had been developed over many years by the best military minds that Earth could find. It was based on a simple idea that had won wars throughout human history. Let your enemy underestimate you and then hit them with everything you have when they least expect it. The aliens thought they knew everything about human capabilities because Earth had carefully shown them only the oldest and weakest technology. Alex, I need to know about the orbital platforms. Jake said. All 15 platforms are operational and fully armed, Alex replied. They have been disguised as communication satellites and research stations for the past 5 years. The aliens scan them regularly, but they only see what we want them to see. Each platform has enough firepower to destroy a dozen enemy ships. Jake nodded. The orbital defense platforms were another surprise that waited for any alien fleet that tried to attack Earth. They looked like harmless civilian installations, but each one contained weapons and shields that were more advanced than anything. On the alien ships, even if the mobile fleet was somehow defeated, the platforms could protect Earth until reinforcements arrived. What about the backup plan? Jake asked quietly. Alex's face became very serious. Jake, you know I hope we never have to use that option. But if somehow everything goes wrong, we have 47 additional ships under construction. They could be completed and launched within 6 months. Earth would not stay conquered for very long. The backup plan was something that Jake tried not to think about. If the aliens somehow managed to defeat Earth's fleet and occupy the planet, then hidden facilities would continue building ships and training crews. The occupation would face constant resistance until Earth could liberate itself, but Jake was determined that it would never come to that. Gentlemen, I think the aliens are about to make their next move, Jake said. My sources here tell me they are planning to send a combined fleet to Earth within the next few days. They want to make an example of us to show other species what happens when you refuse their generous offers. Let them come, Ben said with confidence in his voice. My crew is ready. We have been practicing for this moment for years. Those aliens have no idea what they are about to face. Alex looked directly at Jake through the screen. Jake, are you ready for this? Once we reveal our true capabilities, there is no going back. The galaxy will never be the same. Jake thought about all the humans living on Earth, who had no idea that their fate was about to be decided in the darkness of space. He thought about the children who deserved to grow up free instead of as slaves to alien masters. He thought about everything his species had accomplished and everything they might accomplish in the future. I am ready, Alex, Jake said firmly. Earth will not kneel to anyone. 2 days after the assembly meeting, Jake Morrison watched through his quarters window as alien warships began arriving near the station. First came 3 massive Vorthan battle cruisers that looked like giant metal lizards with weapons protruding from every surface. Then 5 Zephyrian ships appeared that were shaped like crystal daggers and seemed to bend light around their edges. Finally, the crystalline hegemony sent 7 of their sphere-shaped vessels that rotated slowly and pulsed with inner energy. Dr. Lisa Hayes knocked on Jake's door and entered carrying her datapad and wearing a worried expression. Captain Morrison, the alien fleet is much larger than we expected, she said quietly. Our sensors count at least 40 ships, and more are arriving every hour. They are positioning themselves just outside the solar system, where Earth's primitive sensors cannot detect them. Jake nodded and continued watching the ships gather. Each vessel was at least twice the size of anything Earth had publicly revealed, and they bristled with weapons that could reduce cities to ash in minutes. They want to make absolutely certain that Earth understands the message, he said. This is not just about conquering one planet. This is about showing the entire galaxy what happens when someone refuses to obey the Galactic Assembly. Commander Ryan Blake entered the room and saluted quickly. Sir, I just received a priority message from the alien fleet commander. They are demanding that you accept their terms immediately or face what they call corrective action. They are giving Earth exactly 48 hours to surrender completely. What are the specific terms, Ryan? Jake asked, though he already knew the answer would be worse than before. All human military forces must be disbanded and their weapons turned over to alien authorities, Ryan read from his communication device. All human governments must be dissolved and replaced by alien administrators. All humans must report to designated relocation centers for assignment to useful work. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force. Lisa sat down heavily in a chair and put her head in her hands. Jake, this is exactly what we feared they would demand. They are not interested in negotiating or finding a compromise. They want complete control over every aspect of human civilization. Jake walked to his communication console and opened a secure channel to Admiral Alex Stone. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen, looking calm despite the massive alien fleet gathering near Earth. Alex, I assume you are monitoring the alien communications, Jake said. Every word, Jake, Alex replied. They are not even trying to hide their intentions. The fleet commander has been sending updates to the assembly telling them how easy this conquest will be. He predicts that Earth will surrender within hours once they see the size of the force arrayed against them. Are our forces in position, Alex? Jake asked. All 7 ships are ready and waiting, Alex said. Captain Ben Carter reports that the USS Independence is operating at full capacity. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Foster has her fighter squadrons armed and prepared for launch. Dr. Kevin Walsh says the plasma cannons are charged and targeting systems are locked onto the alien fleet. Jake felt a cold satisfaction flow through him. The aliens had made exactly the mistake that Earth had hoped they would make. Instead of sending a small force to test human defenses, they had committed a large portion of their military strength to what they thought would be an easy victory. When that fleet was defeated, the rest of the galaxy would have no choice but to take humanity seriously. Admiral, what is our intelligence on the alien fleet composition? Jake asked. 43 ships total, with more still arriving, Alex replied. 15 Vorthan battle cruisers, which are their primary combat vessels. 12 Zephyrian attack ships, which are fast but lightly armored. 16 crystalline hegemony heavy cruisers, which have the strongest shields but poor maneuverability. The fleet is commanded by Admiral Vex Thorn of the Vorthan Empire, who has never lost a battle in 30 years of service. Commander Ryan looked up from his communication device with surprise on his face. Captain, I just received a message from President Nicole Adams. Earth's leadership has decided to send a response to the alien ultimatum. Jake felt his heart rate increase. Everything depended on the timing of Earth's response. Too early and the aliens might become suspicious. Too late and they might attack before the human fleet was properly positioned. What does the president want to say, Ryan? He asked. The message is very short, sir, Ryan replied. It says diplomatic immunity revoked and Earth defense protocols activated. That is the entire message. Lisa looked confused. Jake, what does that mean? It sounds like some kind of code. Jake smiled for the first time in days. It means that Earth is no longer pretending to be helpless, Lisa. It means the aliens are about to discover that they have made a very serious mistake. The alien response came within minutes. The crystal being that Jake had met at the assembly appeared on the main communication screen with light pulsing angrily through its transparent body. The humans think they can threaten us with their pathetic military forces, it said in a voice like breaking glass. This foolish gesture only proves that they are too stupid to accept our generous offer peacefully. The Vorthan fleet commander appeared on a second screen. Admiral Vex Thorn was larger than the other lizard creatures Jake had seen, and his scales were darker with age and battle scars. Human representative, you have made a fatal error, he said in a voice that rumbled like distant thunder. My fleet will now demonstrate why every species in this galaxy fears the wrath of the Galactic Assembly. Admiral Thorn, Jake said calmly, I suggest you reconsider your course of action. Earth is not as defenseless as you believe. This brought harsh laughter from both alien commanders. Your entire fleet consists of 200 primitive spacecraft, armed with chemical explosives, Admiral Thorn said. My flagship alone carries more firepower than your entire planet. You cannot seriously believe that you can resist us. Jake looked directly into the camera that was transmitting his image to the alien fleet. Admiral Thorn, you have been monitoring Earth's communications and observing our military capabilities for months, but you have only seen what we wanted you to see. Did you really think that a species capable of interstellar travel would be stupid enough to reveal all of their secrets to potential enemies? For the first time, Jake saw uncertainty flicker across the alien commander's face. Admiral Thorn leaned forward and his yellow eyes narrowed. What are you suggesting, human? Are you claiming that your pathetic civilization has been hiding military capabilities from us? I am not claiming anything, Admiral, Jake replied. I am simply pointing out that Earth has had 50 years to prepare for this moment since we first detected alien communications. Did you think we spent all that time building fireworks? The crystal being spoke up with obvious anger. Impossible. Our sensors have scanned every human installation in your solar system. We know exactly what weapons you possess, and they are laughably inadequate. Jake felt the moment had come to begin revealing the truth. Your sensors detected exactly what Earth wanted them to detect. We have been very careful to show you only our oldest and most primitive technology. But perhaps it is time for a small demonstration. Jake nodded to Ryan, who sent a coded signal to Admiral Stone. Within seconds, a new contact appeared on the alien fleet's sensors. The USS Constitution materialized out of empty space only 50,000 kilometers from the nearest alien ship. The human heavy cruiser was half the size of the alien battle cruisers, but its sleek design and obvious advanced technology sent shockwaves through the enemy fleet. "Impossible," Admiral Thorne roared. "Where did that ship come from? Our sensors showed nothing but empty space." "That, Admiral, is what we call a stealth cruiser," Jake said with satisfaction. "And it is only the beginning. Earth's true fleet has been watching your ships for the past 6 hours. You never detected them because our technology is somewhat more advanced than you realized." The alien commanders began shouting orders to their ships, weapons powered up and targeting systems activated as the massive fleet prepared to destroy the single human vessel that had dared to appear among them. But Jake was not finished with his demonstration. "Admiral Stone," Jake said into his communicator, "please show our guests what Earth science has accomplished." 6 more ships decloaked around the alien fleet. The USS Independence appeared directly above Admiral Thorne's flagship like a metal mountain blocking out the stars. The USS Liberty materialized between 2 Zephyrian ships with its fighter bays already open. The USS Victory positioned itself behind the crystalline hegemony formation, while the other 3 ships took positions that gave them clear fields of fire on the entire enemy fleet. The aliens fell silent as they realized they were completely surrounded by ships that were larger and more advanced than anything they had ever seen. Admiral Thorne's voice was barely a whisper when he finally spoke. "This is impossible. How did you build these ships without us knowing? Our intelligence reports said humans barely understand basic physics." "Your intelligence reports were wrong, Admiral," Jake said. "Earth has been preparing for this day since we first learned that we were not alone in the universe. Every threat assessment you made was based on false information that we carefully provided. You never suspected that we might be more than we appeared to be." The crystal being's light flickered frantically as it processed this new information. "Even if you have hidden ships, you cannot possibly match our numbers. We have 43 vessels, and you have only 7. Jake smiled and opened a new communication channel. "Admiral Stone, would you please show our guests the complete picture?" 15 more contacts appeared on the alien sensors as Earth's orbital defense platforms revealed themselves. Each platform was armed with weapons that could destroy multiple enemy ships, and their positions gave them perfect coverage of the entire alien fleet. The aliens now found themselves outnumbered and outgunned by an enemy they had dismissed as primitive only hours before. "Gentlemen," Jake said into the communication system that reached every ship in both fleets, "I believe we need to renegotiate the terms of Earth's membership in the galactic community." Admiral Vex Thorne stared at his tactical display in complete disbelief as human ships continued to appear around his fleet. Each vessel that decloaked was larger and more advanced than anything in his 40 years of military service. The massive ship hanging directly above his flagship blocked out half the stars and cast a shadow across his bridge that seemed to reach into his very soul. Captain Ben Carter stood on the bridge of the USS Independence and watched the alien fleet through his main viewing screen. His crew of 400 men and women worked quietly at their stations with the calm efficiency that came from years of training. They had practiced this moment in countless simulations, but nothing had prepared them for the real feeling of having enemy ships surrounded and helpless below them. "Communications officer, please open a channel to the alien fleet commander," Ben said in a steady voice. Lieutenant Karen Brooks activated the communication system and nodded to her captain. Ben looked directly into the camera that would transmit his image to every ship in the alien fleet. "Admiral Thorne, this is Captain Ben Carter of the Earth vessel, USS Independence," he said. "You are completely surrounded and outgunned. I strongly suggest that you order your ships to power down their weapon systems and prepare to discuss new terms for Earth's relationship with the Galactic Assembly." Admiral Thorne's massive form filled the communication screen as he leaned forward with rage and confusion warring across his reptilian features. "Human captain, this is some kind of trick. These ships cannot be real. Your species does not possess this level of technology." "Admiral, I can assure you that our ships are very real," Ben replied calmly. "Perhaps a small demonstration would convince you. Weapons officer, please target the asteroid at coordinates 774 Mark 88 and fire 1 plasma cannon." Dr. Kevin Walsh sat at the main weapons control station and carefully aimed one of the Independence's 16 plasma cannons at a small asteroid floating several thousand kilometers away. The weapon charged with a low humming sound that could be felt through the ship's hull. When Kevin pressed the firing button, a beam of pure energy lanced out and struck the asteroid with devastating effect. The space rock simply vanished in a flash of light that was visible to every ship in both fleets. Where a solid object had existed moments before, there was now only empty space and a few scattered particles of dust. The alien ships fell completely silent as their crews realized what they had just witnessed. "Admiral Thorne," Ben said into the continuing silence. "That was our smallest weapon fired at minimum power. Each of our ships carries multiple weapons of much greater destructive capability. I trust this clarifies the current tactical situation." Lieutenant Colonel Amy Foster sat in the cockpit of her fighter spacecraft inside the USS Liberty's main hangar bay. Around her, 47 other pilots waited for the order to launch their ships and engage the alien fleet. Amy had been flying since she was 16 years old and had never lost a battle in her 10 years of military service. Her fighter was equipped with technology that would let her outrun and outfight anything the aliens could field against her. "Falcon Squadron, this is Colonel Foster," she said into her communication system. "All fighters are to remain on standby until further orders. We are not looking for a fight today, but if these aliens want one, we are ready to give it to them." "Roger." "That, Colonel," came the reply from Captain Steve Miller, who led the 2nd Fighter Squadron. "My pilots are itching to show these aliens what human engineering can do, but we will wait for your signal." Amy smiled inside her helmet. Steve's pilots were good, but her own squadron was the best that Earth had ever produced. They had been training on the advanced fighters for 3 years and could perform maneuvers that would tear apart any normal aircraft. Their ships were armed with miniaturized plasma weapons and protected by energy shields that could absorb tremendous damage. Back on the bridge of the Independence, Captain Ben Carter received a communication from Captain Jake Morrison, who was still aboard the alien assembly station. "Ben, this is Jake. I am monitoring all communications from here. The alien fleet is in complete shock. Half of their ships are trying to retreat, but they are afraid to move because they do not know what other surprises we might have waiting for them." "Jake, what do you want me to do?" Ben asked. "We can disable their entire fleet in less than 10 minutes if you give the order. Our plasma cannons can knock out their engines and weapons without destroying the ships completely." "Hold your position for now, Ben," Jake replied. "Let them think about their situation for a while. Sometimes the threat of overwhelming force is more effective than actually using it. We want them to surrender, not fight to the death out of desperation." Dr. Kevin Walsh looked up from his weapons console and spoke quietly to his captain. "Sir, I am reading massive energy buildups from 3 of the alien ships. It looks like they are preparing to fire on us despite the tactical situation." Ben nodded grimly. "Kevin, target those 3 ships and disable their weapon systems. Use minimum force, but make sure they cannot threaten us or anyone else." 3 beams of plasma energy reached out from the Independence and struck the alien ships with surgical precision. The weapons exploded in brilliant flashes of light, but the ships themselves remained intact with their crews unharmed. The message was clear to every alien commander watching. Earth's weapons were so advanced that they could destroy specific systems while leaving the rest of each ship completely undamaged. Admiral Thorne appeared on the communication screen again, but this time his voice was much quieter and less confident. "Captain Carter, I do not understand how this is possible. Our intelligence reports showed that human technology was centuries behind our own. How did your species develop such advanced capabilities without us detecting them?" Ben considered his answer carefully. "Admiral, your intelligence was based on what Earth chose to show you. We learned long ago that it is sometimes wise to let potential enemies underestimate your capabilities. We have been developing these technologies in secret for over 50 years, while publicly pretending to struggle with basic spaceflight." Commander Ryan Blake sat in his communication station aboard the assembly station and monitored the transmissions flowing between the human and alien fleets. Every word of the conversation was being broadcast to the 12 alien civilizations that made up the Galactic Assembly. He could see their representatives huddled together in small groups discussing this unexpected development in frightened whispers. "Captain Morrison," Ryan said quietly, "the Assembly representatives are in complete panic. They are sending emergency messages to their home worlds asking for instructions. Several of them are demanding that additional fleets be sent to deal with the human threat. Jake Morrison smiled coldly. Let them send messages, Ryan. By the time any reinforcements could arrive, this situation will be resolved one way or another. Besides, I doubt their home governments will be eager to risk their remaining ships after seeing what happened to this fleet. The crystal being that had spoken so arrogantly to Jake during the original meeting now approached him with obvious fear, radiating from its transparent body. Human representative, it said in a voice like breaking glass. There must be some mistake. Your species cannot possibly possess such advanced military technology. Our scientists have studied your broadcasts and determined that you barely understand basic physics. Your scientists studied exactly what we wanted them to study, Jake replied. Did you really think we would broadcast our most advanced research for potential enemies to intercept? Everything you learned about Earth's capabilities was carefully designed to make you underestimate us. Back on the Independence, Captain Ben. Carter received a priority communication from Admiral Alex Stone, who was commanding the overall human fleet from his flagship several light hours away. Ben, this is Alex. I want you to move your ship closer to the alien flagship. Show them exactly how large and powerful the Independence really is. Sometimes seeing something up close has more psychological impact than viewing it from a distance. Understood. Admiral, Ben replied. Helm bring us to within 1 kilometer of the alien flagship, nice and slow so they get a good look at us. The massive Independence began moving toward Admiral Thorne's ship with the grace of a hunting predator. The human battleship was almost 2 kilometers long and bristled with weapons and sensor arrays that covered every surface. Its hull was made from advanced materials that seemed to absorb light and reflect it in strange patterns that hurt alien eyes to look at directly. As the Independence drew closer, the alien crew could see human faces looking out through the viewports of their ship. These were not the primitive savages that alien propaganda had described. These were professional military personnel operating technology that was clearly superior to anything the aliens possessed. Admiral Thorne watched the human ship approach and felt something he had not experienced in decades of warfare. Fear. Not just fear of defeat, but fear of the unknown. How many other human ships might be hidden throughout the galaxy? How many other technologies had they developed in secret? How badly had the Galactic Assembly misjudged this species? Captain Carter, Admiral Thorne said in a voice that was barely above a whisper. I believe it is time to discuss new terms for our relationship with Earth. The shadow of the Independence fell across the alien flagship and seemed to cover the entire fleet in darkness. In that moment, every alien commander understood that the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity would no longer be dismissed as a primitive species suitable only for manual labor. They had revealed themselves as a military power that could challenge even the most established civilizations. Captain Ben Carter looked down at the alien ships spread out below his vessel like toys scattered across a child's floor. Admiral Thorne, he said calmly. I believe you are beginning to understand the situation. Earth is no longer asking for permission to join the galactic community. We are informing you that we have already joined it. 6 hours after the human fleet revealed itself, the alien commanders formally requested a ceasefire and immediate negotiations. Admiral Vex Thorne's flagship had powered down all weapons systems and was broadcasting surrender signals on all frequencies. The other 42 ships in his fleet followed his example and waited in silent formation for Captain Ben Carter to decide their fate. Captain Jake Morrison sat in the main conference room of the Galactic Assembly Station and watched 12 alien representatives file in with expressions ranging from shock to terror to desperate calculation. These were the same beings who had laughed at him 3 days earlier and discussed using humans as mining slaves. Now they entered the room like students called before a stern teacher to explain their poor behavior. The crystal being that served as the Zephyrian delegate took its place at the curved table, but its light pulsed much dimmer than before. The massive lizard creature representing the Vorthan Empire moved slowly and kept its yellow eyes focused on the floor. The tree-like being from the forest worlds made creaking sounds that the translator identified as expressions of anxiety and regret. Honorable representatives, Jake said in a calm voice that carried clearly through the large room. I believe we need to revisit our earlier discussion about Earth's role in the galactic community. Recent events have provided new information that may affect your previous decisions. The floating jellyfish creature spoke first in a voice like bubbles popping nervously. Human representative, we were not aware of your species' true capabilities. Had we known about your advanced technology, we would have approached these negotiations very differently. Jake nodded slowly. I understand. Your surprise? Earth made a deliberate choice to conceal our military strength until we could properly assess the intentions of the Galactic Assembly. Your initial proposals suggested that such caution was justified. Dr. Lisa Hayes sat beside Jake and consulted her datapad before speaking. The biological and technological assessments that were presented during our first meeting appear to have been based on incomplete information. Earth's scientific achievements are somewhat more advanced than your reports indicated. The crystal being's light flickered frantically as it processed this diplomatic understatement. Dr. Hayes, we now realize that our evaluation of human capabilities was seriously flawed. We hope that Earth will be willing to share more accurate information about your technological development. That will depend on the nature of our future relationship, Jake replied. Earth is interested in peaceful cooperation with all galactic civilizations, but we will not accept any arrangement that treats humanity as a subordinate species. Commander Ryan Blake activated his communication device and established contact with Admiral Alex Stone, who was monitoring the negotiations from his position with the main human fleet. Admiral, please provide the representatives with an updated assessment of Earth's military capabilities. Alex Stone appeared on the large viewing screen that dominated one wall of the conference room. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship bustled with activity as human officers coordinated the movements of their ships around the alien fleet. Representatives of the Galactic Assembly, Alex said in a voice that commanded attention. Earth currently maintains a fleet of 47 major warships with 12 more under construction. Our technology includes advanced stealth systems, plasma-based weaponry, and defensive capabilities that exceed anything currently deployed by your civilizations. The tree-like being made a sound like branches breaking in a strong wind. Admiral Stone, this represents a fundamental shift in the galactic balance of power. How long has Earth been developing these capabilities? We began serious military research 53 years ago when we first detected alien communications, Alex replied. Every species eventually discovers that the universe contains other intelligent life. The wise ones prepare for that encounter rather than simply hoping for the best. Jake leaned forward and placed his hands flat on the smooth table surface. Representatives, I want to be very clear about Earth's position. We do not seek conflict with any peaceful civilization. We do not wish to dominate or conquer other species, but we will not accept domination or conquest by others either. Humanity demands to be treated as an equal partner in any galactic community. The Vorthon representative finally looked up from the floor and spoke in a much quieter voice than Jake had heard from him before. Human representative, what specific terms would Earth consider acceptable for our continued relationship? Jake had been preparing for this moment since the day he first accepted the assignment as Earth's diplomatic envoy. First, Earth demands immediate recognition as a sovereign galactic power with all rights and privileges accorded to other major civilizations. Second, all territorial claims on human space must be permanently abandoned. Third, the Galactic Assembly must formally apologize for its attempt to subjugate humanity and guarantee that no such effort will ever be repeated. The alien representatives looked at each other with obvious dismay. The floating jellyfish creature spoke in a voice that trembled with emotion. These terms represent a complete reversal of our original agreements. How can we explain to our home governments that a species we dismissed as primitive has forced us to accept them as equals? You can explain it by telling them the truth, Jake replied without sympathy. You underestimated an enemy and suffered the consequences. Military history is full of commanders who made similar mistakes. Some of them learned from their errors and others did not survive them. Dr. Lisa Hayes consulted her datapad and spoke in her professional scientific voice. Representatives, our analysis suggests that the galactic community has become dangerously stagnant due to the lack of serious challenges to established powers. Earth's emergence as a major force may actually benefit all civilizations by encouraging renewed innovation and development. The crystal being's light pulsed in what the translator identified as reluctant agreement. Dr. Hayes, your point has merit. Our civilizations have indeed become perhaps too comfortable with the existing order. Competition from Earth may stimulate advances that benefit everyone. Commander Ryan Blake received a priority message on his communication device and spoke quietly to Jake. Sir Admiral Stone reports that 3 alien civilizations have already sent diplomatic messages requesting separate peace treaties with Earth. They want to establish friendly relations before their competitors do. Jake smiled slightly. Representatives, it appears that some of your colleagues have already begun adapting to the new galactic reality. Earth is willing to negotiate individual agreements with any civilization that approaches us in good faith and mutual respect. Captain Ben Carter appeared on the communication screen beside Admiral Stone. Captain Morrison, I thought you should know that Admiral Thorne has requested permission to visit the Independence and tour our facilities. He wants to see our technology firsthand, so he can provide accurate reports to his government. Permission. Granted, Captain Carter, Jake replied. But make sure Admiral Thorne understands that he will be seeing only what we choose to show him. Earth still has many secrets that we prefer to keep private. The negotiations continued for 8 more hours as the alien representatives gradually accepted the new balance of power in the galaxy. Earth would be admitted to the Galactic Assembly as a full member with voting rights and territorial guarantees. Human ships would have free passage through all civilized space, and Earth's colonies would be protected under galactic law. Most importantly, the aliens agreed to establish formal, diplomatic relations based on mutual respect rather than condescension. There would be no more talk of using humans as manual laborers or test subjects. Humanity had earned its place at the table through strength and would be treated accordingly. 6 months later, Jake Morrison stood in the same conference room of the Galactic Assembly Station and watched alien representatives rise from their seats as he entered. The USS Independence hung outside the viewing windows like a metal moon, reminding everyone present of the power that backed up Earth's diplomatic positions. The crystal being that had once mocked human capabilities now approached Jake with obvious respect. Ambassador Morrison, we are honored by your presence at today's session. The Zephyrian Confederacy hopes that Earth will consider our proposal for joint scientific research projects. Jake nodded politely. Thank you, Delegate. Earth is always interested in peaceful cooperation with our galactic neighbors. Dr. Hayes will review your proposal and provide our response within the standard time frame. The massive lizard creature that represented the Vorthan Empire waited patiently for Jake to acknowledge him before speaking. Ambassador Morrison, my government wishes to invite a human delegation to visit our capital world. We believe there are many areas where our civilizations could benefit from closer cooperation. I will convey your invitation to Earth's leadership, Jake replied diplomatically. We appreciate the Vorthan Empire's interest in improving our relationship. As Jake took his seat at the head of the curved table, he reflected on how much had changed since that first humiliating meeting. Earth's flag now flew alongside those of the other major powers, and human representatives were consulted on all important galactic decisions. The shadow of the USS Independence served as a constant reminder that humanity could not be dismissed or ignored. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of underestimating potential enemies. Earth had taught them that appearances could be deceiving, and that wisdom lay in treating all civilizations with respect regardless of their apparent strength. The age of casual domination by established powers was over, and a new era of genuine cooperation had begun. Jake Morrison looked out through the viewing windows at the human battleship that had changed everything and felt a deep satisfaction. Earth had taken its place among the stars, not as a supplicant begging for scraps, but as an equal partner demanding respect. The species that had once mocked humanity's meeting now competed for the privilege of working with Earth's representatives. The transformation was complete and irreversible. Humanity had joined the galactic community on its own terms and would never again kneel before alien masters. The shadow of Earth's battleship would ensure that this lesson was never forgotten.